So this week when it comes to King in Black, we didn't get just one, we didn't get just two, we didn't get just three, but we got 4 tie-in books, and I'm here to tell you which ones hit the mark. Hey, all my webheads out there, welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0, and fans, I am your host, always helping you make decisions of what comic books to buy, and today, guys, we're going to be talking about King in Black. Now, it's not the main title, it's not Venom, it's not Black Cat, but it's 4 other titles. Yeah, 4. There was a ton of them this week, and I'm here to provide for you some of that useful information if these tie-ins are worth buying or not. Now, some of you may not care. You're probably just reading that main series, and that's okay. But for the people that are still on the fence about some of these, well, that's what we're going to cover here today. So just to let you guys know, there is going to be spoilers in this, so if you don't want to watch this video, or if you want to wait until after you read your copies, come back and then watch it. All right, so let's kick it off with the first one. We're going to go from worst to first. Remember, there's 4 of these, and the first one we're going to be talking about, of course, is going to be Namor. This is issue 3. This continues the story of Namor, where he teamed up when he was a young prince of being part of this Swift Tide. They're like this Atlantean people that teamed up with him, and they were like talked about amongst the sea, blah blah blah. Who cares about these people, right? Well, in the last issue, they were going on this mission to recover this stone. They found this stone, and it turns them evil, and all hell breaks loose in this issue, where they're destroying Atlantis, they're going against each other, and it's just a little crazy. Like, it's just, for all point and purpose, like, why was this book even made? Like, so far we've had very little discussion about Knull in general. We don't see him. We don't even see a dragon. We just see young Namor trying to get his people back to his kingdom. And we get to see that, again, everything has fallen apart. I don't like the characters. The characters are pointless. I don't like their personalities. It's just a complete disappointment and so boring on so many levels. I don't know why this book really exists. And I'm waiting to see when this actually does tie in all together, right? And people are probably wondering, well, why are you still reading it? Well, I want to know. I'm literally buying every King in Black thing to complete the whole set, all the tie-ins and everything else. But this, by far, out of any story I have read, it's just not there. It doesn't hit the mark for me. So this is definitely a pass. I would not recommend this. I'm not even going into great detail about it. It's just a complete disappointment. All right, so let's talk about the next book that's actually pretty good. So some of your favorite Marvel heroes are becoming nullified, right? So we've seen all these nullified covers when it comes to King in Black in general, and they've been a lot of fun to look at. Well, a lot of this is coming true now in these comics, that we're seeing our heroes change into these creatures and basically obey Knull, right, through this symbiotic goo. So in this issue, right, it kicks off where Conan is in Rikers Island, and Deadpool's in Rikers Island, and we get to see all of the cops and whatnot trying to protect the city from these symbiotic creatures, whether they're good, they're bad, whatever it is. They're locking them up in Rikers Island. Now, the artwork is not too bad in this book. It's actually pretty cool to look at. We get to see Deadpool in this issue, which is kind of funny, and we get to see a very violent book at times when Conan is like beating him up and pushing him through a cell and whatnot. And so the artwork is pretty good, but the whole goal of this issue was for Deadpool and for Conan to escape, so they can obviously do damage against Knull. They don't want to be stuck in a cell, so they come up with this crazy ploy, this plan to escape Rikers, and they wind up doing it. And the big thing that happens, I guess, in this issue is that, of course, they do battle against a symbiotic dragon, and many years ago in Conan's realm, Knull has obviously affected, and he actually made a deal with Knull to take out Knull on Gath, which is the wizard or the main antagonist that Conan always deals with in all his books. He left him the sword. The sword was covered in symbiotic goo, and Conan basically has this debt to pay with Knull. So we get to see him get possessed by the end of the particular issue. This issue was actually pretty good. The beginning was a little wonky. I wasn't sure where they were actually going with it all, but it was a lot of fun, and now we're going to see a possessed Conan here. How does Deadpool deal with that? I don't know. We'll soon shall find out. So if you do have the extra money, you like Conan, you like Deadpool, this might be something for you to pick out. All right. So the next one we're going to talk about is Deadpool issue 10. Now, I'm not sure if you guys realize this, but this is the finale of Deadpool. This is Kelly Thompson's conclusion. Where Deadpool goes from here, we don't know. But this was actually a pretty good, fun tie-in issue when it came to Deadpool and the whole Knull situation or King in Black situation, and a good finale as well. Kelly Thompson's all over this book with Jeff the Land Shark. She had him in West Coast Avengers. He was a prominent character in this particular series as well. And if you haven't been following this book, I really haven't. It was really easy to follow. Basically, Deadpool is the king of monsters. He rules all of Staten Island. Staten Island, of course, is being overrun by the Knull and the symbiotic goo. And what happens is Deadpool has to come up with a team of monsters from his island to try to defeat the latest dragon. The artwork is pretty good in this book. It's bright, it's colorful, it's vibrant, and we get to see him amass a bunch of characters, which is really a lot of fun. They've done this in the past. Definitely Kelly Thompson has done this in the past, I think when she was recruiting the West Coast Avengers team. And here we get to see Deadpool to do the same thing with his team of monsters. And it was very comical. You get to see him trying to recruit Dutch Oven, who's this guy that just wears some kind of, I don't know, like quilt over his head. He recruits like Fish Head and like Frosty the Snowman. Really a lot of fun. Elsa Bloodstone is at Deadpool's side. She's kind of like a love interest for him in this book as well. But this is very breaking the fourth wall, as Deadpool really usually does. And we get to see his team go into action, going against battle against, of course, what would you expect, the symbiotic dragon that takes possession of their particular city. And the really fun thing about this is Jeff the Land Shark, gets possessed by the symbiotic goo as well, and he gets all mean and vicious, and they gotta kind of like quarantine him and whatnot. But it was kind of cool seeing all these cast of characters wind up doing battle against this dragon and actually prevailing by the time we wind up getting to the end of it. It's your typical Deadpool book. That's basically what it is. And I did think that during this issue we might see Deadpool become nullified, but we don't see that here, so that was a little bit disappointment. But again, like I said, there's kind of a love interest there between Elsa Bloodstone and Deadpool, which I thought was quite interesting. But by the time we get to the end of this issue, it is confirmed that this is the end of Kelly Thompson's run. They basically save the day, or save their little Staten Island. Elsa Bloodstone gives him a kiss, and there was this funny dialogue at the end saying, "Oh yeah, the creature that was supposed to take over your city wasn't supposed to come till 2022. So maybe that's when this series was supposed to end, and it's ending abruptly now." And it says, it says next, someone else will probably do a new Deadpool book. That's all it says. So basically, yeah, it's confirmed that Kelly Thompson's no longer on the book. This series is over, and eventually we'll get a new Deadpool book. All right, so those are the three. Like I said, take it or leave it for what they are. I thought Deadpool was good, Savage Avengers was good, and Namor was trash, right? But the book that you must read out of all the books this week when it comes to the King in Black tie-ins, and this is probably the most solid one of them all, even though it might not tie into the story as well as, say, Venom, or even Black Cat. This was the most horrific, like, realistic story. I feel like if something was to really happen in a city of yours, like if we were getting overrun by symbiotic creatures, right? So in this book, it continues where the story last left off, right? Matt Murdock is in jail for the, supposed crime that he's done. And we see Elektra, who is the new Daredevil, who is obeying by Daredevil's rules. She's actually kind of thinking like him. The artwork is always really good in this book. I love seeing Elektra as the Daredevil in here as well. And all of a sudden, we get to see what happens to Hell's Kitchen when the symbiotic dragon hits their town, right? Or city. And all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose. And it starts taking over everything here. It takes over Typhoid Mary. It starts taking over some just random people. It starts taking over the prison where Matt Murdock is actually at. And when I talk about creepy artwork in this book, we wind up getting to see this this mother interact with her daughter, who was 16 years old, and she was in a bar with a guy drinking, and she takes her away from that bar, but then her mother gets possessed by this symbiotic dragon. And this is the image that you get. And I'm just like, oh my God, that is so freaky. That is so scary, like Walking Dead type of thing that you first saw on the show on episode 1. And in the mother's like, Alice. And it just hits you, man. It gives you the heebie-jeebies, I was just like, oh dude, it's so horrific. And then we get to see Elektra do whatever it is that she possibly can to save the city and stop these nullified creatures from killing everybody, right? And so we get to see this mother going after her daughter this entire time. Like I said, you wind up getting to see Typhoid Mary be possessed by the symbiotic goo. So much fun. And then we see Matt Murdock actually get released because he can't do anything in prison. So he's trying to help the city, doing what he can. But once you touch that symbiotic goo, man, that's it. That's all over. And you get this great page of just blackness, and you get to see Knull speaking with Matt Murdock in his mind and slowly taking over. And then you wind up seeing a nullified Daredevil. And I was just like, oh my God, that is so awesome and so much fun. This is a good tie-in, man. Even though it's another town or city dealing with just another symbiotic monster that made its place there and it's taking over everything. It just affected you really, really hard, and it's real awesome to see how our characters are going to deal with this situation, where other ones just don't hit that mark. It's kind of like, who cares, So since this Daredevil run has been so good and it kind of ties into the current story arc, it makes you care, right? So I really enjoyed this. So out of all the King in Black tie-ins this week, I would say King in Black, Daredevil, issue number 26 is the way to go here. So guys, there you have it. There is my King in Black coverage for the week. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Are you guys still reading these King in Black books? Are you selecting a few? Tell me what you thought of Daredevil. And if you like this content, I'll leave you more content right here. And until next time, webheads, this is Mike Spider Slayer signing off. And thanks for watching, everyone. Take care. Bye.